What's going on, everyone? It's Brad here from Caribou Heart TV. I just had an extremely memorable weekend this past weekend over in Edmonton and Calgary, Alberta, and I thought I'd just come and do a quick bullshit session here and give you guys the rundown, a review of sorts of the amazing awesomeness that transpired over the weekend. So, for almost 2 years now, I've been waiting on this one, the Metallica M72 tour. They announced it, I want to say about like 22 months ago, 21 months ago, somewhere around there, like damn near 2 years, that they would be doing a world tour where every tour stop they make, they're doing 2 nights in each city, a Friday and a Sunday night. And they're calling it the no repeat weekend, where they'll play 15 songs each night, and you will not hear the same song twice. They got two different opening acts each night. The first night was Mammoth, Wolfgang Van Halen's son's band, or Wolfgang Van Halen's band, not his son, sorry, Eddie Van Halen's son's band, and of course the almighty Pantera, the Celebration, and then Metallica. Second night, Ice Nine Kills, and then we have Five Finger Death Punch and Metallica coming back to kill it again, and good times had. So I just kind of wanted to give like a rundown of the weekend and just kind of go into some of the coolness that we had there. So I live in 100 Mile House, BC, and Edmonton, Alberta is about an 8-9 hour drive away. And I also had to work all week leading up to this, so I had a bit of doing weird stuff. So we ended up spending Thursday night up at my parents' place. They're an hour closer to Edmonton than we are, so it shortens the drive. But we left my house at about 3:20 my time, which guess what? If you're in Alberta, we left at 4:20 your time. Completely by coincidence on that one. Absolutely, for sure. But still funny, one of those ones, because a lot of 420 incidents happened along the way. And once we were there, to be sure of that one for sure. So we started driving, heading for Alberta, and to drop off the girlfriend and the stepdaughter in Hinton, Alberta, and then Hurricane Abigail and myself were going to continue on our way. Now, I've been in touch with some friends from Prince George, which is my hometown that I grew up in. We knew they were going to be there. They knew I was going to be there to see if we could meet up on the way. And some of them were camping in near Tejon Cache, which is just before Mount Robson Park, which is just before Jasper. If I give you a quick geology rundown, which in Jasper is in Alberta. And as I was like, you guys won't be up yet by the time I pass through there, so we'll try and meet up at the show. But I was kind of letting them know as I was leaving, because I'm an early riser, right? Okay, leaving Prince George, passing through Tejon Cache, and I hit Dennis and like, hey man, Tejon Cache. Didn't expect anything, and we stop in Mount Robson Park for a quick pee break and, munch on a snack and all that. And we leave there and heading up the highway, and I'm looking in my rearview mirror, and like, there's a black truck with a white canopy. And I say to the old lady, I'm like, yo, wouldn't that be funny if it was Dennis back there? And sure enough, it was. He had gotten my message and was like, you know what, I'm up and I got places I need to be. I'll go. So we stopped, did a quick friggin' hugs and some fist bumps and all that and stuff, and then we'll see you in Edmonton and all that stuff. Dude, he had to go get to the airport, pick up some other friends from Prince George. So we continue to drive. Long story short, we get there at about 1:30 p.m. Show does not start until 6 p.m. Lots of time to kill. Had an easy time finding a parking spot, which for me is a major anxiety event anytime I go anywhere new. Finding parking, just the fear of the unknown, I guess you could say. Wasn't a problem. $35 for a parking spot, which is nuts to me, but it's actually kind of about middle of the road for some of the parking places that we have found. Anywhere from like $20 to $50 is kind of what you seem to be able to reasonably expect on those ones. So we did that, but as soon as we get to our parking spot and we get out of the car, I can hear Mammoth. They're sound checking with Take a Bow. Now, I absolutely love that song. And so I'm just, as soon as I hear that, I'm looking at my daughter, Hurricane Abigail. I'm like, whoa, wait, you hear that? That's Mammoth. They're sound checking Take a Bow. And they did another song after that. I can't recall exactly which one it was. Take a Bow to me is the song from them. I'll go nuts and be singing, and by singing I mean screaming at the top of my lungs. You know how that is, giving everybody around me bloody eardrums and all that as they rupture from the sonic ferocity of my voice. So we're getting excited, right? And we're looking around. Okay, we heard there's an outdoor merch booth somewhere. We're trying to do Google Maps, see if we can find that, and we're kind of striking out real hard on that because Google is not always truthful, and it's leading us down streets that have fences across them and stuff like that. We're having a WTF moment for sure. We go back to the car. grab some water. It's hot as hell outside, and we need to stay hydrated and all that. And Pantera starts checking Mouth for War. Holy shit. Holy, like I'm like, OMG, OMG, OMG. Pantera is the band for me. When I grew up going to high school, Pantera in the area that I lived in was not just music so much as it was a way of life. I never got to see the real thing. So honestly, coming to this M72 tour, I was coming for Pantera. Metallica is purely icing on the cake. I've never seen either of them, but I've always been a lot bigger fan of Pantera. Now I'm hearing them live for the first time as they sound check Mouth for War. Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton is an open stadium. It doesn't have a domed roof or anything like that on it. So if you're outside in the parking lot, you can hear loud and clear. And I'm just like, I'm getting shivers up my spine. Holy crap, Pantera! Like it's happening. It's close. Just breathe. Calm down, Brad. Calm down. It's only a sound check, dude. And then they go into this love, and I'm just like, oh, getting excited. So, okay, let's go and find this outdoor merch booth now. We're trying the pop-up shop that they're calling it. And we didn't find that, but they did have a shipping, like a 20-foot shipping container that was just on the side of the building there that was selling Metallica merch in there. So we get in line, we wait, and do all that. Get the kid her Metallica shirt. She's all happy now. Good to go. And we do the inevitable. You got to get in line and do the waiting, especially because we've got floor tickets for night one in Edmonton. And my mission in life, anytime I've got floor tickets, is to get my kid to that front rail because she's only 4.5 feet tall. She can't see over people if she's anywhere but the front rail. But also she has this really extremely lucky streak when it comes to getting I was gonna say merch, but no, souvenirs day, because she ain't paying for this stuff. It is souvenirs given to her by band members, by band crew members and stuff like that. When they see a 10-year-old at the front rail, they love that and they want to encourage that, and usually she'll get rewarded, right? So it's very cool to see, and I think it's becoming a game to see what we can get away from or get from concerts when we go now. Usually guitar picks, drumsticks. We've gotten a couple of set lists now. Stuff like that, stuff that any adult would absolutely love to have. But now we're getting them for my 10-year-old daughter, and she just loves it. So we're still doing the inevitable wait in the line, and we get in there when we rush to the gate, and it's already pretty crowded when you get up there, and you're trying to find, you guys, maybe we get a little youngster in here, and most people are just like actually kind of snotty about it, which was kind of surprising. Usually I get it. Sometimes people are more than willing to let a little kid in. They might not necessarily make room for me at the rail with her, but I can stand right behind her while she's at the rail. Usually that is the case, and people were kind of slamming doors on us. That's okay. It is what it is. Not the end of the world. We will figure this out. There's more places farther. It's a huge fucking stage. So we'll find her a spot in there somewhere. And then we find the spot. Okay, we see this little plastic hut that's right in front of us. That's actually tall, about 8 to 10 feet long, and it's taller than the stages. I was thinking it was about a foot, but it might even be close to 1.5 feet. You can't really see much, but this is the spot to be. Yeah, it's where we're getting in. We don't have many other options, so it is what it is. Make the best of the situation, and hey, we're on the field for Metallica and Pantera. Huge ups, and. But anyways, we're there for 2 hours. We get there at about 4:07. Doors opened at 4, and show doesn't start till 6. So it's a 2-hour wait at the rail. It is just killer heat. It is what it is. What are you gonna do? It's part of the game to be played. And 6 o'clock comes, and Mammoth takes the stage. And I'm just like, oh wow! Now they sounded good. They sounded so good. The acoustics in the stadium, well, not the acoustics, just the sound. The acoustics is a part, but you know what I mean? There isn't no acoustics in an open stadium. They sound so good. Now, my one criticism is that we can't really see what's going on the stage. It's a big stage that is probably not quite taller than I am where we were. And you got the plastic hut, which is actually turned out to be James Hetfield's guitar tech's little booth that he works in. The stage is not covered, so if it's raining, snowing, sun, whatever, they are out there in that. So you need this booth to keep guitar parts covered up and stuff like that. Fully get it. When you're there, you can see what's going on, and it makes sense. But Wolfgang Van Halen, he's on the far side of the stage from us, even on the other side of the snake pit, right? So it's a circle stage with a center in the middle that's full of rich people where you can pay through the nose, and you'll get tickets in the middle of the stage. Then you get your regular floor tickets for people that are all on the outside of that stage, right? And he's kind of, like I said, opposite side. Couldn't see him. Sounded great. Didn't really get to see much of his guitar player ever, but his bass player was running around and made sure we got to see lots of his bass player, which is cool. And of course, the song "Take a Bow" comes on, and I'm just like I said, I'm not singing this so much as absolutely just screaming this at the top of my lungs. I love that song. And after I believe it was a 6-song set, he was done. Very cool, sounded good, loved it. Like I said, I was already a fan of his band today, so to get to see him live. And the cool thing is, he doesn't want to be known as Eddie Van Halen's son. He wants to do his own thing in music, right? Not make the living off his father's back, so to speak, which is hard to do when you're Eddie's son. But he can still do all like the tapping and stuff that Eddie does up the guitar neck. It was just cool to see. We can't see what we're looking at down here, but there's 8 huge towers with rounded monitors on them. So all you got to do is look up, and you're seeing him doing his guitar solos and all that stuff. Still very cool. Anyways, after about a half-hour set, he's done. Set change, time for a new thing. Pantera's up next. The anticipation builds. And as that comes in, you start seeing the crowd as it's about that time, over on the far side of the stadium. They're kind of getting up and standing and pointing stuff like that. Okay, they must be walking to the stage and doing that. And sure enough, about a minute or two later, I look and you see Zakk Wylde coming towards us, and I fumble for my phone and see if I can get a video out and stuff like that, because holy crap, he's about to walk by us. And I got my phone out just as he was kind of getting by me, and I go and look. You got Phil Anselmo's walking towards you with Charlie Benante, and then you got Rex Brown behind him, and it's like totally fanboying, like, oh my God, Pantera, and they get up there and they absolutely killed it. They did an 11-song set of just full-on absolute bangers. Just wow. And they start off with New Level, which seems to be like an every show thing, even going as far back as their live album. Then they go into Mouth for War, Strength Beyond Strength, Becoming, and Unbroken. And then they dip into 5 Minutes Alone, This Love, Fucking Hostile, Walk. When they get into doing Walk, you're in the middle of about 60,000 people, and everybody is singing Respect, Walk. What do you say? Like that is powerful. That is cool. All around you. You are in the middle of it. I was at a stadium show for Guns N' Roses before, and being like in the crowd for, about 55,000 people singing along with like Sweet Child of Mine was cool. But being there dead center pretty well for Pantera and Walk was like that might be a religious experience for me, to put it that way. Just like, oh, wow. Full on amazing. Getting to see it. Zakk Wylde sounded good. He's not Dimebag. He never said he was going to be Dimebag. And he's actually said the reason he doesn't go out of his way to play everything 100% faithful to Dimebag is because it's more of a celebration. He wants it to sound like it's Zakk Wylde playing Dimebag's songs. It's not meant to be a recreation. This is also why Zakk Wylde refuses to call it Pantera and will call it the Pantera Celebration, something I am fully on with, because it's not. But like I said, having never been able to see the real thing, this is as good as it's going to get. And after we got to sing our hearts out with Walk, they did Dom Hollow, which to me is just might be my second favorite Pantera song if I were to sit here and think about it, off their live album, and I got to see the real thing in real life. And then they closed out with Cowboys from Hell. Now, that for me is probably my very favorite metal song of all time. And to see Phil Anselmo up there belting it out, Rex Brown's up there dropping the bass lines along with him. And my favorite living guitarist today, Zakk Wylde, is up there. We're ripping on the guitar. Like, this is like perfection, as perfect as it can be for me in my mind. Like, this is the teenage Brad is just like creaming his jeans, so to speak, over this. It was amazing. And then after that, Pantera wraps up, and as they take their bows, they do the "and she's buying the stairway to heaven," cap the show, right? They're done. Pantera absolutely rocked it. When they were playing, that crowd went so fucking nuts that standing at the rail with my kid between my arms, and me white knuckled to the rail, and people are ripping and trying to get up at that stage, and the mosh behind you, people get bumped and shoved forward and slamming into you. It was everything I could do to hold on to that rail. Like, it was batshit crazy, but hell of fun. And I'm like, oh my God, if this is like, what's it going to be like when Metallica comes on? Like, I actually got a little bit of worried there for a bit. And, so now we do the wait and the set change. And it was, I think, not quite an hour until Metallica comes out. Now, this is where things start getting like really, really cool for us. So, like I said, we didn't have very good spot to sit for view wise. Everything sounded great, and most of the musicians would make sure that they would come stand by the hut. Pantera was amazing for it. Every one of them, except for Charlie, who's got his drum kits in different locations. He had one on each side of the stage, so he's kind of far and a little bit closer to us at least. But like Zach, Rex, and Phil, all, they'd come and they'd play their solos in front of you, or Phil would belt out some lyrics. Like, dude, I got to see him do Cowboys from Hell right in front of me. I was like, oh, you know what I mean? So singing the chorus to that. But the cool part is we wouldn't have been able to have these special experiences like the one that I'm about to talk about here. So quick little shot here. So James was putting on his pre-show friggin' cream on his hands there, right? And we were actually, it's a plastic booth you can see there. We'll actually see if we can mute that or rewind a little bit so you see what I'm talking about. So you see this little booth here right on the corner here. That's what I'm talking about, where his guitar tech sits. That's James's chair where he sits and smokes his cigars, ashtray with a cigar in it and all that. And he's putting lotion on his hands. We were close enough to smell the lotion in his hands. It just smelled like lotion. It didn't smell like anything special at all. But the anticipation builds. And at one point, as he's kind of doing that and putting his ear monitors, and he looks over and he sees my daughter. And she's got her fucking cell phone out filming all this, right? And he looks at her and he smiles at her. Okay, that's cool. Hey, he noticed her. That's really neat. They get out and they open up with Creeping Death on this. OMG. This is so good. Crushing the Harvester of Sorrows. And after that, they get into a little bit of Through the Never and King Nothing. And then they get into some of the 72 season songs, which I got to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of, and it seemed like the crowd kind of fell asleep a little bit. Don't mean to be disrespectful. They were still loud and seemed like having fun. But remember when I was just talking about during Pantera, I was fighting to stay at that rail and was even a little bit concerned there for my daughter for briefly. It was nothing like that. Like the first couple Metallica songs, yeah, you're fucking having to hold on to that rail quite tough. And then it was like to start playing the newer stuff, and it's like everything calmed down. And yeah, it was still crowded and really packed, and everyone's squished in like this, but there's nobody fighting and jockeying for positions anymore. It was like, okay, so maybe the newer stuff isn't as well received as we were thinking, but okay, this makes it more enjoyable for me at the same time because it's not a struggle to stay up where we are. And right around this time, I can't remember exactly which song it is. Through the set, Metallica, they move the drum kit 4 different locations. So they move it 3 times throughout the set. And around this is where they move it the first time. So James Hetfield, he comes down to the booth thing. I was just trying to show you, doing a poor job of it in his chair. And he's high-fiving fans and stuff like that, slapping him. I look at my daughter, just whispering her. I was like, when he comes back, you give him the horns. And he comes back our way. And sure enough, he did. And he stops and takes this wristband right here off of his wrist, and she's still got the horns up, and slides it over the horns and onto my daughter's wrist. I'm friggin' shell-shocked at this point. I'm like, did this just happen? And like, the almost cat's got my tongue, right? And like, this is the coolest thing I may have ever witnessed. James Hetfield just took his wristband off and gave it to my daughter. Holy hell. And I'm just like, thank you, James. And then he just kind of looks at me and he's just like, gives me a little cups my cheek like that. And I'm just like, not sure what just happened there. He may have just completely demasculated me or not. I don't know. But oh my God, that is so cool. So our views for what we could see of the stage during the show, unless they would come near us and specifically give us a little bit of time near that end of the stage, was not great. The sound was great. Got no issues there. Lots of monitors all around. So just because there's nothing going on right in front of you, you can look up and around, and they've got shit going on for you to look at. So it's not like it was boring. But had we been anywhere else in that stadium, this wouldn't have happened. I'm like, do you know how amazing that is to me? Like, to her, and then of course you put that up on social media. Oh my God, look what my kid got from Hatfield. And everyone's like jealous for the most part, really. Like I said, my 10-year-old daughter goes to concerts and ends up with souvenirs that a lot of adults would maybe not actually kill for, but they'd kill for them. But anyways, the set list keeps going on. Like they so for the newer stuff, they went into 72 seasons. If darkness has a sun, the day that never comes, and shadows follow. I actually don't mind Shadows Follow in terms of the new stuff. It's not bad. And then they go into Orion, which is friggin' wicked instrumental off of Puppet Master album, Master Puppets. Can't talk. Sorry. Getting excited about just talking about this show. And then from there, they go into Nothing Else Matters, Sad But True, Battery, which I'd seen in it was Minneapolis or Chicago stop the week before that. They'd thrown that in on the second night. So when I saw it on the first night, it was just like, oh, wow. And then they do Fuel, which, when they do, give me fuel, give me fire, give me that, which I just, pyro comes up. And yeah, you can see that from every single part of the stage. It doesn't matter if you've got a little plastic hut block in your view or not. You've got fireballs launching, and just to see the look on the kid's face when all this is going on. So every time they do that course, just wicked, good fun. And then after that, my favorite Metallica song, Seek and Destroy, and they rip into that. And in each of these light towers, they've got these huge freaking Metallica beach balls up there. I would say there's probably about 16 of them in each light tower, probably 4 rows of 4, from what I was trying to do my hillbilly math as they were going on. And they dropped those at the beginning of Seek and Destroy. So the rest of the song, you got these giant beach balls bouncing all over the place, and it's all really cool. And then they finish the night off with Master of Puppets. I'm just like, wow, could it not be any more perfect? It's amazing. And we're all riding high after that. So let's try and fight our way through the crowd back to the car, which we were able to do. And while we had a really easy time trying to find a parking spot, getting out was a total no-go. But that's to be expected anytime you're in a crowd of, you've got about 60, 70,000 people around. There's going to be some cars in the way. And get to the parking spot. We're backed into our spot, ready to pull out. How you got a guy that's in the driveway trying to get out and got us T-boned off like that. He didn't move for at least a half hour, and I'm sitting there, okay, well, might as well just smoke joints or something like that and enjoy life until we got to go. And it was about an hour until we even bothered trying to move. Whatever. Then we head towards Red Deer for a night in Calgary with Marilyn Manson. We'll get into that one in a different video because that was equally cool for some similar and also different reasons, but a different video. This one's about Metallica and M72 weekend. So day 2. We get there, and me, I'm all paranoid about parking. We get there late, and I'm all like, freaking just, are we even going to find this place? No problem. Yep, found a parking spot, same space that we went and looked before, and, then we're good. Okay. Now, my daughter wanted to get a Metallica shirt for her bestie so that they can be matching friends and they can have matching Metallica shirts on the first day of school. I'm thinking, like, that's a great idea. So we're back to the merch line again. We do all that. But since we're in the nosebleeds this time, we were not down on the floor, and kind of happy to be in the nosebleeds because maybe we'll have a chance to see more of everything that's going on this go around, right? And so we just kind of hover around the car, not doing much because we just don't want to stand in that line if we can avoid it. And then a little while after the doors go, we get in there and wander around the stadium as one might, checking things out. All the vendors and all that, the ridiculous merch lines, which is, I am a huge proponent of get there early, guys. Now, when it comes to concerts and merch lines and stuff, you can either get there early and wait outside in front of the venue waiting to get in, or you can stand in the merch line waiting and possibly miss the opening acts and stuff like that. And I'm just get there early. I'm an early riser anyways. Let's just do it and get it done. So we do. And, get all that done. Back to our seats, shows about start. Ice Nine Kills comes out. I don't know anything about this band. I have not checked them out before this, and I did that intentionally because I like to try and get that impress me wow factor with opening acts that I don't know about and see what they're all about. And to be honest, they were really good. Their music, not really my thing. I can listen to it, but not, it's the kind of stuff I'm gonna probably search out. What is really cool about them is the theatrics of their show. They've got crew members that are dressed up when they're coming out and do that big long stage walk that I was telling you about with Pantera and everything. They got these guys that are dressed up as like Leatherface and like bloody white shirts and stuff like that with chainsaws, and they're revving them up on their way out. And from where we are, you can see these crew members were standing right beside James's guitar tech cab where we were the night, 2 nights previous, and they're constantly taking shirts off, and like every song there's something new. Then they're just horror themed set changes and costumes and all that stuff is the best way I can really put into it. And I think if they ever come near us again, that I will probably go and try and find them. Unfortunately, they were playing in Calgary the night that we were, the first night in Edmonton on the 23rd. They were in there in This Moment, and I would have loved to have seen that show, but Pantera Metallica supersedes. I'm sorry, so we got to miss that. But Ice Nine Kills, if you ever come back our way to Alberta or British Columbia, I will be there, I promise. And if it's an all ages show, my daughter will be there, because I was going to tell this a little later in the show. They ended up being her second favorite band of the entire weekend. So that's a pretty huge deal. And a lot of that was due to the theatrics. You kept the little girl entertained with what was going on that stage, with low production values too, because let's face it, you're the opening band of 3 acts, with Metallica headlining. So they get all the cool shit, right? And they did, I think it was an 8 song set. Really cool stuff, half hour long. They're off, they're on and they're off. They're out of there. Here comes Five Finger Death Punch. Now, this is a band that I don't mind some of their stuff. I hear their stuff on the radio, and I'm just like, and this is all like the slower radio single type stuff, right? I'm just, doesn't impress me at all very much. Kind of almost get a dirty feeling maybe. But I've also heard some of their more up and look at that heart pumping stuff. That song Dot Your Eyes with Jamie Jasta, I like that song. I've heard a few others that I don't recall the names of, as you're cruising through Spotify, going, oh, who are these guys? Let's get a better feel for them, kind of thing. And they come on, and they were okay. They were not great, but they were good. And their music did translate to a live setting, which is kind of what I figured it would do, to be honest. And it did, and they, I think they did. It was a 12-song set, and they were off. Good times. Next, here comes the really cool stuff, though. Metallica, I can't talk once again, getting all excited. Metallica comes back with their second night, and just the anticipation builds. So they open up with Whiplash, which I feel like everyone in there must have had whiplash from all the headbanging we're doing. Now, actually, let me go back one further and just take a quick step here and say that. So when we got to our seats on night 2, like I said, first night we're down on the field. Next night we were hardcore nosebleeds in section W2. As soon as Abigail sat down and looked down at the field, she said, "Oh, this is way better. We can see everything going on now. And now that it's starting to get dark, the light towers with the screens and stuff, that the 8 of them that they have down there, they're only going to get cooler." And they do. So they go into Whiplash. And as I said, we all come out with a little bit of case of that. And then they roll into For Whom the Bell Tolls. Now, when I got married, what was that, 7-8 years ago, whatever it was, my wife, became my wife, now my ex-wife at the time, she actually came out, her wedding entrance song was For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. Just throw that one in there. That marriage failed. I hope it didn't have anything to do with Metallica, but, that is a fact. Yes, my ex-wife did come down the aisle to Metallica, For Whom the Bell Tolls. So that one, it does have a special part in my soul, my spot in my heart, I guess you could say. From there, they hit Ride the Lightning. It's like, yes, let's keep up with that old stuff. And then they get into Until It Sleeps. Absolutely nothing against that song whatsoever. I sang my heart out along with it. And then they get into some of the newer stuff. They hit Lux Eterna, which, as far as the newer stuff goes, I don't mind it. It's not bad. And then they hit Screaming Suicide, which, kind of like Lux Eterna, I don't mind it. It's not bad. You probably won't see me go to my way to throw it on, but I won't complain, and I probably won't even skip the song once it's on. Now, the cool thing about Screaming Suicide is at the end of that, Robert Trujillo and Kirk Hammett, they played a cover of Rush's Working Man, which Rush is a Canadian band for, they're known really well by nerds and all that, but in my opinion, phenomenal. And so while Lars and James were taking a bit of a break, Robert and Kurt, they do Working Man by Rush. And I was just, okay, this is cool. I had my phone out for that, it just by happenstance at that moment in time. And I actually got the whole thing on video. And as cool as it was, I gotta say, Robert, not much of a singer, phenomenal bass player, one of my absolute favorite bass players, but his vocal help, his vocals could use some help, I guess, but still very cool. Had such a great time watching that one. You don't get to see that every day. You don't get to hear Metallica playing Rush covers every day, like, come on. And so, like, yeah, just excited for that. And then from there, they go into Welcome Home, Sanitarium. OMG, 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 like anything off the Master of Puppets album is, I'm going to love at least. From there, they hit Wherever I May Roam, and then they go into Call of Cthulhu, another wicked instrumental song, and of course dedicated to Cliff Burton. From there, they hit Unforgiven and Inamorata, which is on the new album again. And it's funny because the first time when they came out and played Lux Eterna, James Hetfield kind of, everyone's favorite album. And I think it was because he noticed that the crowd kind of went to sleep the first night when they played the new stuff. It just died right down. And, kind of acknowledging that, because when they came back and played another one of the songs a little bit later in the set, which was Inamorata, they get to that. And he once again said, yeah, here's another song off of everyone's favorite album. Nervous laughter. I don't think you actually laughed, but you know what I mean. People weren't there to see that stuff. Inamorata, not bad though. I didn't mind it, but not one of my favorite ones on there. Then after that one, they go into Fight Fire with Fire off Ride the Lightning, which is awesome. And then after seeing how give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. And the pyro comes up. And I'm looking at the third to last song on the set is Moth to Flame. And I've got a good feeling about this. So one of the things that we've done, me and my daughter, when we go to shows, is she's got a YouTube channel that she puts YouTube videos up on of the shows that we've been to. So we try to get a video or two from pretty much every set that we see and see if we can put it up there. And I was like, knowing that there's some pretty good pyro on Fuel, I figured this one there probably will. So I tell her, get your phone out. You probably want to record this one for your YouTube channel. And sure enough, fucking insane pyro, and it's fun, and it's a pretty good song as well. And then they get into one, which we all know it, and Justice for All, fucking classic, for one of the best fucking guitars in the mid. Oh, getting all Twitter pated just thinking about this. They rock that once again, a little more really cool pyro and all that. And then they close out the night with Enter Sandman, which I think was the icing on the cake for my daughter, because it's definitely the song she knows the most for Metallica. So, and who can't sing along with that, right? That's, to me, when you're able to sing along with the songs at a show, that's where it really is the bomb, yo. So, wicked ending to the show and a great time. Now, another really cool thing about that is, so immediately after the show is done, we're going to go hang out. So my buddy Dennis, I mentioned earlier, we got to go hang out and see him and a few of my other Prince George friends that I grew up with that are in the area. And the fact that they all get more excited to see my kid at these shows than they do for me, I don't know if it hurts my feelings or gets me excited, because when people get excited to see her and Lisa kind of runs by me and like gives her a hug and not me, I'm just like, yes, like, this is awesome to see that she is so well accepted and kind of being integrated into the British Columbia metal community, even in Alberta. Another cool thing is she's becoming so recognizable within the BC music scene that she has a battle vest, kind of just like I do, but she's got her own patches on there and done it up in her own way. It's recognizable. Because when she went to the bathroom, and I'm standing outside the bathroom waiting for her at one point, this is during night 2, and I hear, Brad, that's my name. Start looking around, and figure after a couple seconds, you see the person waving. That's my friend Darcy, Buddy Kirkland's girl old lady. We run into them at concerts all over BC. It seems just about every show we go to, they're at as well. And she didn't even see me. She didn't know I was there, but she saw Abigail's vest and knew damn well who that was, and therefore I must be around. So let's go find Brad, which I thought was cool. And another one, my buddy Lance. I got to meet up with him and have a quick smoke sesh with him before the Metallica set too, as well, which is very cool. Right, run into old friends and stuff like that. All in all, I gotta say this is one of the better shows I've seen ever. If I could do anything differently and change things up a little bit, I would have rather been up in the stands the first night for Mammoth, Pantera, and Metallica, so I could see everything that went on that night, and down on the floor for the other two bands, because I honestly wasn't as interested in them. And so if you're down there and you're listening, sounds just as good down there as it does way up there, only you can actually see what's going on up there. So it's actually got me kind of wondering about stadium shows, and what to do for in terms of seating for future events and stuff like that. Because ideally, yeah, being on the ground is the awesome spot. But if you can't be right at that gate, then it's what are you actually seeing and looking at? Is it a little bit tougher? I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe we should just kind of shoot for the nosebleeds from now on. I don't know. I think that's about all I've really got for this one, though. One of the best tours I've ever seen, for sure. We've been to some really cool tours now, been to some really good concerts. But like when you get to see like a particular tour that was really good. The Machine Killer tour from Static X and Seven Dust and Dope was another one that comes to mind. A much smaller tour, much smaller venue, but just equally as awesome, right? Where it's just the sheer everything going on and all the happenings and stuff like that just like blows your mind. And once again, you're hearing songs that you never thought you'd get to hear live. Once Dimebag was gone, I thought that was it. So Pantera was huge. Metallica was huge. My first time seeing them. And so one of the very cool things, though, is so I couldn't see well the first night, whatever it is. I still had a good time. But at least we had that second time to back it up and get to see them from up above. So you had the two perspectives. So leaves no room for bitching there. Now, I mentioned that my daughter is some kind of crazy magnet for fucking grabbing cool shit at shows, and this is absolutely true. So I showed you earlier, right? This is the James Hetfield sweatband that she got. Still mind blown that happened. Just I never saw that one coming. But she also managed to snag herself a couple Pantera Rex Brown bass picks. Hell yeah. Can you see that? Let's see if we flip those around. They do got two sides, so yes. Got these to add to her collection, which is already fairly big. And then we've also got ourselves a couple Metallica picks going on there. So M72 with a bunch of the songs they played on there. Picture of the stadium set up there. Very cool. Another M72 pick. Hell yes. And then this one's actually really cool to me. So it's got a Jason mask on one side. On this side, Edmonton, August 23rd, 2024. So it's a dated for that show specifically. Coolest thing, though, Kirk Hammett threw this one. And I caught it. Hell yeah. Give that to the kid for her collection. I don't need to be holding on to that stuff. She can use all of that. I had a great time. Really cool. Glad you guys sit here and listen to me yammering on about all this stuff. Hope you enjoyed listening to it. I think I might do more stuff like this. We do go see a few shows, and I do like talking about music. So let me know in the comments and all that if you're down with listening to me babble on about more shows. I just went to another one the weekend before that. I can still talk about that one too. So yeah. With that, I think I'm out of here, guys. Got a show tonight. We'll see you in a couple hours, and I will talk to you later. Thank you for everything.